First off, to the four of you, thank you so much for hanging out here. It's the first edition of Lunches with the Birds. So to introduce you all, Kelly Nicholson, manager of the team, Zach Kokoska, outfielder out of Kansas State, Isaac Esqueda, who threw 6 scoreless innings last night, helped the Birds get a win, right? Yeah. I think that deserves a round of applause. Out of USC, and Zach Britton on the very end, out of Louisville. And Coach, I'll start with you. We're going to pass this one. To get a win last night in front of a large crowd, how great was that?
Yeah, it was good, especially knowing that we had this luncheon today. You know, it's better than being on a 7-game skid. So I was really proud of the way our guys responded, and it usually comes down to good pitching, and we got great pitching out of Isaac last night. So yeah, really happy for those guys. We kind of capitalized on their starters' lack of command, and again, I like the way we responded in the first inning. I think they put up 2, and then we came right back and put up 3. So it was good. It was good to get a win. It's always good to get a win in the Cape League.
We appreciate Nauset Grill, first off, for hosting us, the Orleans Firebirds, for this first edition. Guys, I know you guys ate your sandwiches fast. Did you enjoy them?
Yeah, we did. It was really good.
All right, one of the coolest things I saw last night, she's actually in attendance right here, is Nancy Nicholson. As Isaac Esqueda, I know she's your host mom, and you're living with her this summer, was going berserk as you throw 6 scoreless innings. And I think that kind of just shows how cool the Cape Cod Baseball League is, the fact that you've never met Nancy Nicholson before until this summer, if I'm right on that. And she is screaming louder than maybe anybody that's ever watched you play baseball. For you, Isaac, how cool is that?
I mean, it's amazing. I mean, she's like my host mom. She's another mom to me, just like how she reacts to my mom. She's just like that. I mean, she's great. She's amazing, and she's great at everything.
Zach Britton, I know you enjoy your time kind of being having some stellar moments with the Firebirds. Last night you played a great game. You had a double in the first inning that was deemed crucial for the entire game, and the crowd got into it. To be here in Orleans, Massachusetts, make big plays that get the crowd going. How cool is that for you? With the bug on you.
No, it's a lot of fun to be here, and you know, every day you get to play in the Cape, especially in Orleans. So you know, it's just a blessing, and that's how we all feel. And I feel like we all are super lucky to be here, and we're not taking it for granted. So it's an awesome experience.
To Zach too, Zach Kokoska, you just told me that the 4th of July parade was a dream. We got to sit next to each other. You said you want to go back to the 4th of July parade, right out here with thousands of fans chanting your name. Not really, but thousands of fans rooting on the Birds. How cool is that? It just seems like such a special experience, really, for all you guys.
Honestly, it's an amazing experience. You know, I've never been through something like that where you're on a parade float and you're kind of the main act of the show, and everybody is excited to see you. You don't really get that anywhere else, and it's kind of special that it happens here. So I just really like that time, and it was really fun for us. So yeah, I'd like to go back, and you know, and I wish the best for the rest of the Birds in the future when they get to experience it.
Looking forward to the future too, not only in the Firebird season, but for the lunches with the Birds at Nauset Grill. I know we're going to go to a few other places, so it's exciting. Coach, you've been here for much longer than they have, and seeing the town of Orleans come together each and every year to root on the Birds, I know that just must be such a cool life experience for you and something you always cherish.
Yeah, no doubt. It's really a great experience to see the way every town, whether it's Orleans or Chatham or Brewster, the way these communities embrace the teams. I think one of the big reasons that makes the Cape League so special. And I just wanted to say that you can always tell who Nancy is hosting by the volume of her scream. So I knew that Isaac must be living with Nancy. So
Isaac, during that performance you had last night, afterwards you told me you just wanted to get the right rhythm down, help the team get a win. You helped the team get a win, and like Coach just said, your vibe is a little higher, and that truck is extremely loud, but the vibe is a little higher. To be with the guys, you know, winning games and performing with them, what type of experience is that for you?
I mean, it's amazing. I mean, never played with any of these guys, but I mean, just the first time I pitched out here, everybody felt they showed their respect, their comfort. It's like a brotherhood out here. I mean, no matter what team I play on, there's always guys out there that do the same thing, play with each other, for each other. We never take anything for granted, and just appreciate everything that I've done.
So an exciting thing that we're going to kind of get to do here is get kind of an inside look at the program and how it's run, and a lot of that is by you, Coach. You told me a few weeks ago that the standard for the team is PAR, punctuality, accountability, and respect. What does that really mean to you and to the team as a whole?
Well, I think what we're doing in the summertime is we're teaching life through baseball, and it's at Loyola High School, we teach life. I try to teach life through mathematics. And so the punctuality, the accountability, and respect those are three things that we would like these guys to carry on after their baseball career is finished, because I think there are three standards that all of us as young men, adults, young women, that if we can do those three things, be on time, show up, do our jobs, be accountable, be able to say, hey, I screwed that up, and be super respectful of everybody, then those are qualities that I think we want in our DNA as human beings. And that's why we just try to, it's just a different platform. At Loyola High School, it's a classroom and you're teaching math, and here it's a baseball field and you're coaching baseball. But the bottom line is that we're trying to teach life through those two different venues, math and on the diamond.
Zach Kokoska, I know you've been here for a long time this summer. Through what Kelly just said, learning life and them teaching you life through baseball, what's something that you've learned specifically this summer?
I just learned that you always got to be accountable. You got to think of it as a team, not as an individual sport. Baseball is a team sport, and you got to be there for each other. You got to support one another, even when you're having bad days too. And it's all about just working together and being there for one another and doing your jobs. And usually success comes when you work that way. So that's pretty much what I've learned so far this summer.
Zach, on the end, I know you play at Louisville, so you are well known to large crowds watching you play baseball. But maybe that's something that you haven't really thought about is, punctuality, accountability, respect for the game and all that. Going out to Louisville next year after spending a summer in your time here with the Orleans Firebirds and kind of having that in your head, the ability to show thousands of people that come to watch you play, not only here but at college, that you really respect the game. What does that mean to you?
The biggest thing I've taken away from Skip is to be professional with everything that you do. Whether that's showing up early or sticking to a routine every day. I think being professional, being accountable for your actions, and obviously respecting your coaches and teammates, I think those are all huge things in being successful in baseball.
You mentioned being professional. You've told me a number of times, like after the 4th of July parade, that you want everything to be professional because these guys, a large majority of them will make their way to the major leagues and have that great opportunity to be professional in all phases, whether it's a World Series parade or something like that. For you to have this platform to kind of jumpstart that in terms of being a professional athlete and person, how cool is that for you, Coach?
Yeah, it's really great to see him here in the summer, and then in 3 years, I'll either go to Dodger Stadium or go to Angel Stadium, and I've had the honor and privilege of seeing Eric Lauer pitch here in 2015, and then last year going to watch him pitch against Clayton Kershaw in Dodger Stadium, or to go down to Anaheim and watch David Fletcher compete, and he's lockering between Cole Calhoun and Albert Pujols, and I tell these guys all the time, we want them to know how to behave when they get to the major leagues, and if their behavior is not going to be acceptable at the very highest level, then it's not going to be acceptable here in Orleans. And we want them to learn how to be professional athletes with everything that they do. We just had Chris Constantine yesterday. He came to speak to us. Chris coached here for 4 summers. He's now the minor league. He works with the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, and he's the minor league coordinator of outfield play and base running. And Chris was telling these guys that everywhere they go, everything they do, there are going to be eyes on them and they're going to be evaluated. And so with the way they dress, the way they speak, the way they play, the way they interact with host families, with kids in clinic, they're establishing their brand. And they want that brand to be exceptional. So when you think about a Nike or you think about an Adidas or New Balance, what they're doing is they're establishing their brand with everything they do this summer.
I'll ask you this, Isaac. Your brand, if I were to watch you for a game and write down what I thought your brand was from watching you, what would you like me to write down?
I don't know, that's a tough one.
I know, I put you on the spot. I did.
Not sure, to be honest.
When you're playing baseball, I'll kind of word it in a better way. When you're playing baseball, what would you like to bring out onto the field in terms of your character, in terms of your professional attitude? What would you really like to bring out to the field?
Just basically just trying to stay humble and just basically come out there and do what I got to do, compete, and just do my job and just basically just do like how a regular ball player, just stay humble and just go out there and do your thing, do your job. That's it.
Zach Britton, what's that for you?
I would say it's just I would want people to think that I was playing as hard as I could all the time, and that I was just competing more than the guy next to me and playing harder than the next guy. So for me, that's big.
Zach, this is a summer that is based around, to Zach Kokoska, sorry. This is a summer that's based around, you know, being a competitor and also developing your game. I know for coaches that's kind of a hard thing to balance. How are you balancing that in terms of improving yourself and also competing to win out here?
I think a big thing that comes with that is finding a routine that works for you and showing up every day and having the intention to get better. Even on days where you're playing a game, you know, you still get good work in, early work, and pre-game BP. And that's where you get better. You don't get better during the games. So I would just say I take that time each day to kind of work on my craft and try to find good things that work for me and use that to get better each day.
Coach, year 15 with the Firebirds. What have you learned about yourself as a coach in this season so far?
That it's hard to win games in the Cape League, man. Every night's a battle, and if you don't play well, you have a chance to get beat every night. And on the flip side of that, and we talked about this, we had a little team meeting yesterday. If we do play well, if we do command our fastballs and we have command of the strike zone and we can put the ball in play and we play catch on defense and we're mindful on the bases and we do that better than the other team, then we're usually going to come out on top. But if we don't do that, if we can only do 2 or 4 of those things or 3 or 4 of those things, every team in this league is so good that you're going to come out with a bad result. And we had not been playing very well. We hadn't pitched very well. We didn't play very good defense. We weren't swinging the bat. But on the flip side of that, you have to credit the other teams. You know, there's awfully good pitching every inning. Everybody can defend. Everybody can hit. So you have to play well every night. I think that's one thing that I've learned about the baseball, man. It is every pitch, every inning. You've got to compete, and you've got to compete at an elite level to come out on top. And you know, Isaac did that last night. Came in and gave us six quality innings. His line, I think, was 6 innings and 3 hits and no walks and 8 strikeouts. So he did what he was supposed to do, and as a result, we had a good result with that. And I think all of these guys kind of are establishing their brand. Isaac, I would say Isaac is super humble, right? Zach Britton, if I had to describe him, he plays hard, man. He has a Pete Rose mentality, and Kokoska's getting into a routine. So I think they're starting to learn who they are as players, and that will be their identity as they go forward.
The Zach Kokoska, you know, he just talks about you're learning who you are as a player. If there's one thing you could focus on that you're trying to improve the most in your game, whether it be your attitude on the field or just something in terms of mechanics or technical changes or improvements, what would you say it would be for this summer?
I would say probably kind of staying level. Don't get too high, don't get too low. You know, you have a good day, celebrate it. You have a bad day, flush it. You know, but you don't want to get too high or low on yourself because then you don't play how you normally play. So I would just say kind of riding the wave, staying in the middle, not getting down when I have a bad day, not getting too high when I have a great day.
Zach Britton, coach, just spoke very highly of you and how you play hard. You have the Pete Rose mentality, what he just said. Where did that come from for you?
Well, I grew up a Reds fan. My dad grew up a Reds fan, and his favorite player was Pete Rose. So as a little kid, my dad always kind of taught me how to play really hard and kind of leave my mark on the game. Even if you go 0 for 4, make a couple errors, you can still leave a mark on the game. And that's just by playing hard and playing like you won't get a chance to put them on.
Isaac, last night, 8 Ks, 6 scoreless innings out of the bullpen. I asked you if you had any idea that was going to happen. You would throw 6 innings out of the bullpen. You said you had no idea going into the ball field. In terms of just finding a way to be focused through 6 innings in a game that you might not have even known you were going to throw at all, how do you keep your head in the game for so long like that?
I mean, it just comes from, like I said before, back at school, just becoming a starter, just trying to get in that rhythm. And once you get in that rhythm, just stick with it, and just basically just having the same routine, coming in and out of the dugout, and just basically competing, just making my defense work, and then just also having the offensive having my back from that helps a lot. Just stay in my routine and just basically compete.
Zach Kokoska, we've seen this season, just like every baseball and sports season as a whole, have its highs in 5 straight wins and have its lows in 6 straight losses. You guys came back, and on every single level of the game, the team was hitting, fielding, pitching the right way to get a big-time win at home. What does that tell you about the Orleans Firebirds in 2019?
It just tells you, we're not going to give up. We're going to always stick to it, no matter how bad the situation is or how great the situation is. We still put in the same amount of work no matter what, and we're going to keep grinding and doing the best we can to get as many wins as we can.
What did that tell you last night, Coach?
Yeah, I think it showed these guys have high character, and we talked about that in our little team meeting. And high character teams respond, and good teams. We gave him a quote about Terry Francona. He says that poor teams tear each other apart, and great teams build each other up. And I think that's what they did last night. That was a nice little start to what I think is going to be a really good, nice brick wall that they start to build.
So I'll go down the line here, and I'll preface this with, on July 4th, you told me that on the night of the 3rd, when you guys were at Chatham, Coach, you took a minute to look around and just kind of feel the crowd and take in the moment. You were so happy that your life had brought you to that specific point to where you could absolutely relax and enjoy life as it was on the Cape. And so, Zach, Britton, I'll start with you on the end. Have you had a moment this summer where you were really able to take everything in from being with the crowds, with the guys from across the country playing baseball here on the Cape?
Yeah, I think it was the same night when we were at Chatham. I was playing right field, and it was late in the game. I think it was like bottom 8 or bottom 9. I kind of looked around and saw how many people were there at a summer ball game, and you could almost like feel the excitement in the crowd and like feel the atmosphere, and it was really cool. I had never really felt that type of atmosphere in a summer league game, and it's something that you hear about when you first hear you're coming to the Cape. You always hear about the atmosphere at Orleans, at Chatham, and it was something that will last with me for a while. So.
I'll stick with you for this one. What does that feel like?
It kind of just you can hear the whispers of the crowd, and there's like a buzz in the air, and it's pretty cool. And you can tell everybody's excited and locked in on the game. And when fans are like that, then it just makes for a special night.
Isaac, I hope last night during your outing you were able to take a breath and enjoy everything. If you did, how did it feel?
It felt great. I mean, just with all the fans around, just them being excited, just cheering for me, felt really good, especially for the team after getting that win. Playing in college ball, especially in the Cape, all the fans are just always into it. You always hear them. Even your teammates, you can hear them just how locked in they're in the game and just how excited they are for you.
Zach, what about you?
Yesterday I wasn't in the game, but I was able to visualize a lot being on the sidelines, and it's always I try to take it in every game. I try to take in how grateful I am, to be in this league in the first place, and it was really hard for me to get in here. And Coach Kelly took a chance on me, and I really appreciate it from him. And I take the crowd in every game, and I try to do the best I can when I get in the game to perform. So I'm thankful to be here.
You just said that you took a chance on him. I know through your 15 years in being a manager and piecing teams together, you've taken a chance on a lot of guys that's, I would like to think more often than not, has worked out in favor in terms of getting to know these young men and getting to coach them for a summer. For you, in that experience, how special is that for you, Coach?
Well, I don't know if we really took a chance on Zach Kokoska. We knew that he was a good player, and a lot of times it just boils down to numbers. And I don't ever look at guys as contract guys or this guy's a temp guy. They're all elite players in the country, and we can only have 30 of them. And normally we carry 14 or 15 position guys and 14 or 15 pitchers. But you can see what happens when we have a Pat DeMarco that signs, or a Matt Goodhart that gets hurt, or Garrett Mitchell who gets invited to the USA team. It's just kind of next man up. And they're good players and they perform, and we've had guys that we just got a young man in from BYU, a right-handed pitcher named Reed McLaughlin. And the last time we took a kid from BYU, he came up on a temporary contract, and he ran out of the league being the pitcher of the year. We've also had, I think back to, this will probably make those ladies mad over there because he wasn't included in the home run contest, but Ben Waldrop and Matt Duffy came up on temporary contracts, and they were roommates, and they both wound up starting in the All-Star game. and then we're temporary guys. So, like I said, I don't look at temp, I don't look at contract guys. They're elite players, and it just boils down to numbers.
Zach, I'll ask you, and we're going to go down with the guys, and Coach, we'll go to you at the end. What's your favorite part about the game of baseball?
I think favorite part about the game of baseball, I just like I kind of like the grind that goes along with it. I like sticking to a routine and working day in and day out. It's just like real life. Like sometimes you'll work really hard for something and it won't go your way, and sometimes you work really hard for something and things do go your way. And I also like the team atmosphere and everything that comes along with it. So that's probably it.
For me, I like the competition. I mean, some guys that you played with and you're facing against them, which is nice. It always gets the adrenaline going, and just basically knowing like guys where they're from, how much to see how much you can compete against them, and also another one is like the brotherhood. Just how, like I said, you never played with any of these guys, and then you just jump into a team, and all of a sudden they just have your back always. You're just always there with them at the baseball field.
I would say my favorite part is probably like Zach said, like the grind and all the work that it takes to be successful. And baseball is a game of failure, and why it's the best game, I think, is because there's always the next day to come out and play. No matter if you go 4 for 5, the next day you come out and go 4 for 4 with 2 doubles, and it feels really nice. And you forget about the day before. So I'd say that's my favorite part.
How about you, Coach?
I think people have asked me this before, and I think one of my favorite days is our first day of stretch, when you've seen them play, you followed them during their regular season in the spring, you haven't met them, you hear about them from their coaches, and then they all show up in Orleans and take that first jog down to the fence, and it's kind of all come to fruition, and it's a special day for me. And then obviously I love watching these guys play every night. I like watching both sides play. It's an honor and a privilege to be a part of the best summer league in the country, and to see some extremely good baseball players, and then to look out there and wonder, hey, who's going to be the next Buster Posey or Chris Sale or whomever? Who's going to be the next Eric Lauer or Colton Wong or Brian Reynolds, Matt Wieters, to mention some of our guys. And then lastly, I really enjoy the game inside the game, because the game changes with every pitch. There's a big difference between a 2-1 count and a 1-2 count, and what you're going to do. And so I love the game inside the game. I love those guys initially showing up and stretching, and I love watching them play every night.
Zach, you mentioned baseball is a game of failure. I know in your guys' lives you've experienced an incredible amount of failure in the game of baseball. I was once told that the most important game is the next game. I think that goes for everything in terms of life, in terms of, a 1-2 count turning into a 2-2 count. Baseball is a game of failure, like you said. How do you, in your life, as you've failed so much, how do you approach that each and every day, knowing that you're going to fail more often times than you're going to succeed?
As crazy as it sounds, you try not to fail.